The 9th of April, 1940. Under the code name Operation Weserübung, Nazi Germany invades Denmark and Norway. Strategically, Denmark is important to Germany as a staging area for operations in Norway, where Germany seeks to secure naval bases for use against the British fleet in the North Sea, and to ensure vital iron ore shipments from neutral Sweden. While the invasion of Denmark lasts less than 6 hours, making it the shortest German military campaign of the war, Norway surrenders after 2 months on the 10th of June, 1940. During the German occupation of Norway, the Gestapo, the Nazi secret police, plays a key role in maintaining control through terrorizing the local population. Among Norwegians who support the far-right political party, the Nasjonal Samling, relatively few actively collaborate with the Nazis. One of the most sadistic Nazi collaborators, whose name becomes synonymous with torture in Norway, is Einar Dønnum. Einar Olav Kristiansen Dønnum was born on the 19th of April, 1897 in Oslo in Norway. Before the war, Dønnum worked as a manager and Sunday school teacher for the Philadelphia Church in Oslo, where he preached about Jesus and Christian values. He enjoyed significant respect and was a popular figure in his community. After teaching Sunday school for 8 years, however, it was revealed that he had engaged in an extramarital relationship with a 17-year-old girl. Because of this scandal, he was immediately dismissed from his position, as his behavior was incompatible with the church's principles. Dønnum then faced prolonged financial struggles and difficulty finding stable employment. During this time, he made a living by running a scrap metal business and trading in used clothing. The Second World War started on the 1st of September 1939, when Nazi Germany invaded Poland. The German invasion of Norway began on the 9th of April 1940, and 2 months later, on the 10th of June, Norway fell to Germany. Following the invasion, a diverse range of resistance activities emerged, including both organized groups and spontaneous civilian efforts. One of the most prominent organizations was Milorg, the military branch of the Norwegian resistance, which coordinated armed resistance and sabotage operations. Milorg's activities range from intelligence gathering and smuggling supplies to conducting guerrilla warfare and executing targeted sabotage missions against German infrastructure. Civilian efforts also played a significant role, engaging in non-violent resistance such as spreading underground newspapers, organizing strikes, and maintaining communication with the exiled Norwegian government in London. The Norwegian resistance worked closely with the British Special Operations Executive, the SOE, an organization that supported local resistance movements and helped them conduct espionage and sabotage against the Axis powers. Notable operations included the heavy water sabotage at the Vemork plant, which hindered German efforts to develop nuclear weapons. The resistance also assisted in the escape of Jews and other persecuted individuals from Norway to neutral Sweden. Despite facing severe repression, including arrests, torture, and executions by the Gestapo, the Norwegian resistance remained resilient. Their efforts significantly disrupted German operations, contributed to Allied intelligence, and bolstered national morale, ultimately playing a vital role in Norway's liberation. In November 1940, 5 months after the Norwegian capitulation, Dønnum joined the Nasjonal Samling, meaning national unity. This far-right fascist political party was founded by Vidkun Quisling, who rose to prominence by aligning himself with Nazi Germany and assuming a leadership role in occupied Norway under Nazi control. Several months after joining Nasjonal Samling, Dønnum began working as a temporary police officer. After a brief stint with the Order Police in Oslo, he was assigned to the police surveillance unit. In June 1941, he was transferred to the state police, known as the Stapo. The Stapo collaborated closely with the Gestapo and SD, which was the intelligence agency of the SS and the Nazi Party in Germany under Hitler's regime. The state police carried out surveillance, arrests, and interrogations, often employing brutal methods such as torture and executions. Dønnum quickly made a name for himself and was sent to Berlin for further training. Upon his return, he was well prepared to take on larger tasks assigned by his superiors in Oslo. Dønnum became the head of Section 3A in the state police, which focused on tracking down Norwegians with illegal radios. Later, he was promoted to lead Section 4A, a far more critical division tasked with combating the Norwegian resistance movement. Dønnum's actions left him living as an outcast and constantly under threat. Within the state police, he was ostracized for investigating his own colleagues. At home, his family was divided. His wife and 3 daughters sympathized with the resistance, and Dønnum eventually moved out of the family home. However, his teenage son, Ole Bernhard Dønnum, followed in his father's footsteps and worked for the state police as his assistant. Dønnum served both as a state police officer and as a provocateur, working to dismantle the Norwegian resistance movement. He was directly involved in numerous cases of severe torture and abuse targeting resistance fighters. On one occasion, a member of the Norwegian resistance, Sigrid Regine Heide, was taken to the basement of Victoria Terrace, the headquarters of the state police, as she was suspected of working for the resistance. Sigrid was interrogated by Dønnum and Adolf Schubert from the German security police, but despite intense questioning, she refused to talk. Schubert struck her in the head with his fists, but Dønnum escalated the brutality. He lifted her skirt and clamped her leg in a vice, tightening it until she screamed in excruciating pain, then repeated the process on her other leg. Afterward, the badly beaten Sigrid was sent to the Grini Prison Camp in Bærum, located 15 kilometers west of Oslo, and was later transferred to the Ravensbrück concentration camp in Germany. Like his father, Dønnum's young son Ole became known as a zealous and ruthless official who often used torture during interrogations. In addition to torturing resistance fighters, Einar Dønnum also participated in several executions of them. Because of his brutality and collaboration with the Nazi occupiers, the resistance movement placed Einar Dønnum on their assassination list and made several attempts on his life. In February 1942, a resistance group targeted him by planting a bomb rigged to a string at the gate of his house. Although the bomb detonated, Dønnum was not present, and no one was injured in the explosion. In August of the same year, another attempt was made to assassinate Dønnum and other state police leaders at their Oslo district office. A bomb connected to the telephone killed a different state police officer, but Dønnum escaped unharmed. Although Dønnum survived these assassination attempts, the resistance intensified their operations, shifting their strategy to focus on eliminating key figures within the Nasjonal Samling. By 1944, their efforts turned toward Karl Marthinsen, the head of the state police. The resistance group Milorg closely monitored Marthinsen's routines, and on the 8th of February 1945, ambushed his car, riddling it with bullets. While the driver survived, Marthinsen was killed on the spot. The assassination had severe consequences. A Reich commissioner for Norway during the German occupation, Josef Terboven, ordered the summary execution of 28 imprisoned resistance members. 4 additional civilians were randomly selected, bringing the total to 32 victims, all shot within 2 days. A drunk justice minister, Sverre Risnes, personally took part in the shootings on the 9th of February, later stating, "I feel I've avenged my good friend Marthinsen." Among those involved in the executions was also Olav Aspheim, a fanatical member of the state police who shot indiscriminately at the corpses of resistance fighters after they were already dead. On the same day, as part of the retaliation for Marthinsen's assassination, Einar Dønnum selected 35 state police officers to carry out further executions. In May 1945, realizing that the war was lost and he would be held accountable, Dønnum fled to Sweden with his son. However, both were arrested by Swedish police, extradited to Norway in July 1945, and tried for treason. Einar Dønnum was charged with offences including bodily harm, abuse, participation in murder, and bodily harm with dangerous tools, while his son Ole faced lesser charges of torture. During his trial, Dønnum attempted to portray himself as an insignificant figure who had not committed any particularly serious crimes. His lies, however, did not help him escape justice. Einar Dønnum was found guilty and sentenced to death. His appeal to the Supreme Court was denied, and he was executed by firing squad at Akershus Fortress in Oslo on the 22nd of April 1947, 3 days after his 50th birthday. Dønnum's son Ole was also convicted of participating in the abuse of prisoners, but unlike his father, he escaped the death penalty. Instead, he was sentenced to 6 years of forced labor. He was released in December 1948 from Galskog forced labor camp, and upon his release, he changed his name. There were no tears shed for Einar Dønnum. Thanks for watching the World History Channel. Be sure to like and subscribe, and click the bell notification icon so you don't miss our next episodes. We thank you, and we'll see you next time on the channel.